Pros being pulled. The SCV's coming at the perfect moment here.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the StarCraft 2 stage. We are, surprisingly enough, for the first time for MLG history, ahead of schedule, which means we managed to fit in an extra match for you. And what a great match it was between the one and only Cats and, of course, Dragon. And I'm joined by Axlav for the excellent analysis. Welcome back to the stage.
Thank you, sir. The last game was pretty entertaining, at least the first one on Aklon Waste.
Oh, yeah, that was great to watch. I mean, it was absolutely astonishing, and Cats, of course, always the crowd favorite. Now, the question, I suppose, has got to be this. Who is the crowd favorite when you mash together two great StarTale players?
That's a tough question. I mean, you've got Sound and Golden for a next match, of course, two great players. I personally think, you know, Golden is on fire right now. He just won the Red Bull tournament. He's looking very, very good. But Sound is a guy who he can go and he can look at more of Golden's games. Of course, he was in that same tournament, and he lost to him there. And he can say, you know what, I can rethink how I lost to him and reshape my play to go up against him. Whereas Golden, you know, he might be almost too confident with how easily he won that turn, because it was, I mean, he only dropped like a few maps in an entire tournament. It was pretty brutal.
Yeah, he was rocking it. There's no real question about that. And the interesting advantage that both of these guys have, which kind of makes it unfortunate that they ran into each other so early, is the fact that they are some of the only Koreans here to not actually be affected by jet lag. They've been in the States since, and they're going to kick it off on Whirlwind. So I expect a pretty damn epic game from both of these. Team kill already in this tournament, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get it started. Welcome to Whirlwind, the venue for many a fantastic match, which this promises to be. In the red trunks, playing Terran, our first contestants, in the northeast position, it is StarTale Sound! Versus his opponent, the Zerg, whose best talent is his ability to counter 40. In the southeast position, also from Team StarTale, in the blue trunks, give it up for Golden!
Of course, Golden, well known for playing in the international tournaments. He's played in these international tournaments for quite a long time. And look at that, shouting out to the crowd.
Some people ask about the soundproofing at MLG. Well, the answer is there's only so much soundproofing you can do against the roar of the crowd. These guys are always awesome, so thank you very much, guys, for showing up. Now let's see where this goes from here. It's a big map. Neither of these guys are going to do anything too crazy initially. We may, in fact, see, well, we're going to certainly see a hatchery coming down here, but we might see a command center first coming in from Sound. In fact, it's almost certain.
And that's a very good choice on Whirlwind. I mean, pretty much almost all Terran openings come down to one of three categories nowadays. Either Reaper Expand, Command Center first, or something weird. And Sound is a very, very solid player. He almost will never choose that third category. He's a very, he just plays the more standard macro openings. And Whirlwind is a map where the Reaper opening isn't quite as popular, because first you have to find your opponent, which then you have to scout early, and that's an SCV off mining. And then second of all, there's not that many angles to jump into the main. I mean, you pretty much have to go straight up that ramp to the natural. You can't really use the maneuverability of the Reaper quite as well on this map.
No, it's less than ideal. There's some maps where the Reaper is absolutely fantastic because there's so many exposed areas, but as it stands, we will not be seeing too much of that. So, could see a fairly passive opening from both players for the next few minutes as a direct result. Now, what interests me when I see team kills is how many mind games are going on in the heads of the players, because these are guys that practice together almost constantly in the StarTale house. They know each other's styles back to front.
That's right, and at least in maybe not as much quite recently, and now that they've been in the States and they're both in the same tournament, but in the past they lived in that same house. And that is the big question, is how many mind games can you play? And usually most mind games revolve around how fast is your opponent going to take a third base, and how greedy are they going to play, and can you try to punish that greed with some type of timing attack? So if Golden thinks Sound might do, you know, fast through it into Hellbats, a build that's very weak to some mass roach pressure, as we saw happen in Dragon against Cats in that last map in Whirlwind. We might see Golden do a similar strategy, but also if Sound knows Golden is known for that type of aggressive play, he might get a tank out early or do something extra safe.
He certainly could, and we're not seeing too many indications up to this point. We are seeing quite a lot of queens coming out from gold. It's going to go all the way up to 4 initially. Nice little defensive option, of course. Also allows him to start spreading the creep, because this is a big map. If you want to get that creep going, you've got to get it started pretty early.
And creep spread is super, super important on Whirlwind because you have to do it in so many directions. Like you said, it's not only big as far as distance from one base to the other base, but as soon as you start taking a third and then later on a fourth base, there's so many different angles your opponent can attack you from. So you have to spread creep in 3 different directions, whereas most maps, it's 1 or 2 directions can pretty much cover all the main attack paths. So Golden, of course, is going to be looking to take that third base at the very bottom of the map, and that means he's going to have to spread creep all the way to the bottom left, and then also he's going to have to, when he eventually takes maybe a fourth that is up higher, have to spread creep north as well towards his opponent.
Nice confident move there by Sound, something that certainly at the start of this expansion we were seeing a huge amount of. There's that triple command very early on, and he's going to use Hellions to secure it. And at this point, there isn't anything out on the map that can even think about doing anything against that. So it's a nice little move there for Sound. He will be able to start getting some tech out momentarily. The tech lab on the barracks is just finished. He's got the gas to start into something, but we do still need to figure out exactly what he's going to do. There's the stim going down. So we might see him go up to 4, maybe even 6 Hellions, apply a little bit of pressure, and we were talking about the creep spread earlier. Well, great way to deny that, of course, is to just try and get some Hellions down there and try and start to do some damage. But with 4 queens and so many tumors, it might not be so easy.
He spotted a third base, and in fact, if he gets up to that natural and spots the 2 Evo chambers, he's going to know exactly what's going on. Now, both players are really basically focusing on the mid and the late game. You can see that because they're both adding the 2 engineering bays and for the Zerg, the 2 evolution chambers very early on. They want to invest more into early upgrades and less into a whole ton of early
units.
In.
Oh, that's quite a surprise. Usually you don't see that. Let's see how much damage. That's significant already. He killed 6 workers. This is looking pretty nice for him. Let's see if he can do any more. And usually you won't, but there's another shot off. A nice one. Sound, unbelievable. 4 Hellions gets 14 workers.
Oh man, and what a disaster for Golden. I don't think he saw that coming quite as fast as it did. No, it really should not have. You know, Whirlwind, the ramp is pretty big. And the 2 Evo chambers still left enough of a gap there that Sound took advantage of it. The 3 Queens weren't quite in the right positions to wall that in effectively. There weren't any Zerglings to trap the Hellions against the Queens once they ran past. And look at this, Golden, it looks like he's going to return the favor. He's making nothing but speedings and banings, but the Hellions spotted him
already, and they're going to get some shots off. They're actually going to force a couple of cancels or at least kill some banelings, already blunting this attack before it even gets out of the gate.
And you know what's really, really working well for Sound is how many Hellions he's opening up with, so effective against this type of attack.
Great shot coming up right there. The Lings are moving and he's forced backwards. The banelings don't get to connect with anything. They're now vulnerable. They're getting picked up by the Hellions. A disaster for Golden already.
He really did not anticipate more Hellions past those first 4. He was saying, you know what?
Neither did we.
No. It's a lot of Tyrants transition to Widow Mines or the tanks or the Hellbats or something, but this many Hellions just shut that attack down cold.
Yeah, it was a really nice play, a smart play by Sound, knowing, oh, I've just hit a bunch of drones. What can he hit me back with? He's going to immediately want to get back in the fray and try and catch up. Great shots once again with the Hellions. Excellent positioning, using the rocks to his advantage. Now, however, gets surrounded. Or does he? Trying to sneak his way out of there. One gets eliminated, but great shots coming up right here by Sound. He will eventually lose these Hellions, but he's killed a lot of Lings for the privilege of it. But as I said, great decision-making there by him, knowing that a Ling-Baneling counterattack was so likely, so he built more Hellions, predicting that that was going to come directly at him.
Such great cost efficiency for Sound throughout this opening. And almost what's almost more important than stopping that Baneling attack is the fact that Golden spent all his gas and morph into Banelings.
Yeah.
So he delayed his 1-1 upgrade substantially. And while we see that both of them got the engineering bays and the Evo chambers at almost the same time, Sound is far ahead. He's 1-1 is about to finish. Golden's is only halfway done, and his armory is timed perfectly, so he can start 2-2 whenever he wants.
Exactly. He's going to get 2-2 very soon, I would imagine. He's certainly got the gas for it, no question. It's actually kind of surprising as it started immediately here. I wonder if he's got anything else in mind. Could have potentially just forgotten. There it is. He's also going to throw in the +1 vehicle armor as well. Very, very nice little upgrade to have against the Ling-heavy style. And as you said, Golden is behind in that respect. The worker count doesn't really show it, but he's had to replace so much, and that money's got to come from somewhere.
It does. I mean, you can see their tech is a little bit late.
Really late, yeah.
And normally a Zerg wants to be, if they're doing this low tech, high econ, high unit count as far as speedings and matings go. They want to be about 80 drones at this point in the game, but because of all those drone deaths early and then that attack, he doesn't quite have that drone count. So as we get into the mid game, he's going to have a hard time fielding the amount of speedings and matings he'll need to overwhelm these Terran attacks.
Very, very true. Sound, once again, demonstrating excellent Hellion control. There's only so much you can do against that many Lings, but he's doing everything he can and trying to take out as many units as possible just to blunt the possibility of run-bys and counterattacks. Nice little scout goes in with that overseer. He's got a good idea of what he's up against, but I suppose the question then becomes, what can you do? With Spire Tech on the way, what will he be able to pull out here?
Golden's really going to look to try to take control of the map, keep Sound on the defensive while he increases his drone count. Ideally, if you're going to play this very heavy speed baiting, and a muted type build, the two things you want to look for is one, to try to get to a high drone count, 70 to 80, and then two, to try to keep your opponent on the defensive and make sure they never get that fourth base.
And it looks like he may be able to do that at least for some time. We've got Sound throwing down a couple more barracks as well. His production is already monstrous, and it's going to get even more ridiculous as he pushes out. Lynx and Baneling surprisingly behind the army here. Is he going to? He's going up the ramp.
Oh, that Widowmine!
Oh, that could have been worse than it was. I mean, that took out a Baneling or two, but it did take out quite a lot of Lynx. So here he goes. He's going to try and do some damage. That'll get him back into the game. He's again. Sound isn't responding to this. Oh, it's massive. Ouch! That is gusting.
Oh, that's exactly what Golden needs. Now he just needs to deal with this army in his doorstep as well, but he used so many units on that counterattack. 2-2 is seconds from completion for the Terran here.
And I think Sound, honestly, it's weird that he didn't respond to it in any way, but I think he's more confident about his chances with this push here. Banelings are now morphing in. The aggression's already on the third base. Good positioning here by Sound once again. A lot of stimming going on as a Baneling connects as well here. And let's see if he's... Oh, wow! Golden is getting those hits that he needs here to make this work, and Sound surprisingly taking more hits than I would expect.
Oh, some cute micro there,
nice.
Though, dropping Marines onto Bane.
Like that.
Trying to make the best of a bad situation, but this game has really turned around and it's pretty much evened up. Now, Sound still has that upgrade advantage. He did lose a lot of SVs, but he still has triple mules. He has all his infrastructure set up. He's got a good amount of Widow Mines so far, been very cost efficient for him.
That's very, very true. You don't generally hear of a cost-inefficient Widow Mine unless, of course, it hits your own units, which has been happening more and more often lately, but Sound is in a nice defensive position. Those run-bys consistently get denied or hurt as a result of those Widow Mines just kind of sitting there being irritating. But the problem is, if you invest too much in Widow Mines, your army ends up being smaller, and when they get cleaned up, suddenly it's like, oh, I've been relying on mines. What else have I got to deal with mass anything? The answer is generally, well, not a lot. At this point, he has a massive Marine count and a few medivacs.
That drop was spotted by about 4 different Overlords. Yep. Great Overlord spread by Golden. Mutas are on the case. Speeding's backing them up to help deal with those Marines. But while the army's distracted here, he's also dropping into third base, and he's clearing up creep in the middle.
That was a nice little move. Sound, of course, attacking 3 positions at once. Pretty standard. I mean, he gets out of bed, he has his breakfast, and then he attacks 3 positions at once. That's what Korean Terrans do. Whatever the case, the rock has now been picked up, but look at that. Those are very heavily injured. A Widowmine shot actually hits a good number of Marines there. I think the pickup may have happened just before that, though, so he didn't take too much. In the meantime, we have continual harassment here. The question, I suppose, is how much damage has been done? A pretty good amount. I mean, 28 workers have been killed up to this point here by Sound, and he's going to take the hatch too.
Oh, putting the Zerg down to 3 bases when he's not even on a hive tech. A great win for Sound. He's also taking the supply lead with these very cost-efficient engagements. He really hasn't lost that many Marines.
And he's going to pick off a Mutalisk or 2 as well with the stagger drop play coming in right there. Another drop into the main. Widowmine is in position. Golden gives it up. GG. First game in this best of 3 series going to Sound, and it's interesting, we saw Golden with an exceptional counter-attack and good defense onto his third base there. We thought, does he have it at this point? But then the drop play comes in from all angles. The cleaning up of the creep spread, very crucial there. And the efficiency at which he was able to engage against everything that Golden had. And I've got to say one more thing. If you've got a big Mutalisk pack and you can't take it into your opponent's base, well, what do you do with it then?
Yeah, it's really, I mean, the Mutas are there to shut down drops and take over the map. That didn't happen for Golden. I mean, besides that one counterattack, Sound was always on Golden's side of the map. He was always clearing up the creep. He was always putting pressure on Golden. Golden never had that chance to really get those big Muta harassment attacks in, or even transition to Hive, or really drone up and have more stack defense. He was just on a defensive the whole game against the Korean Terran. That's a rough place to be.
No, I mean, it's just, you're basically on the ropes and you get consistently pummeled for 10 to 20 minutes, which is never a good position. Sometimes you can get those turnarounds, but against a guy with the control of Sound, it is unlikely to say the least. Nicely played there by Sound. We'll be going to game 2 in this fantastic series very shortly, folks. This